So if you'd like to sit on a blanket, if you'd like to sit on a block, if you'd like to sit against a wall. I mean, the great thing about doing yoga at your own place is you've got your things, right? So take a couple of shoulder shrugs. A couple neck movements that feel proper for your joint setup. Good. And then come to a place where you can just let the eyes close. And if that makes you feel dizzy today or uncomfortable, just look down gently at the floor, maybe 12 inches in front of you. So we're still in summer, and I think I looked at the temperature today, and it's going to be a hot one, a very hot one. And so this is the time to work the heart meridian, or to tap into would be a better word. So your heart meridian is, there's three branches really. One starts at the front of the little finger, up the inner arm, up to your clavicle, right? Right up to your center of your chest. Then there's a pathway that goes down towards the digestive organs. And another pathway that runs up, goes around the mouth and up to the eyes. And that's of course on both sides. So just for a moment, and if you want your fingers to guide you, you can trace that line or lines, or you can just see it running up from your pinky fingers, palm side, up your elbows, your biceps, your armpits, your clavicles, and then sense that branch going to trace the mouth up to the eyes and down the sternum to your gut, your second brain. And so the heart's main focus as an organ, of course, is to pump blood. And that same thing is true in the Chinese medicine system. The blood is the most yin of the connective tissues. And what the blood's energy does in Chinese medicine is it helps us to not feel like we have to do. You could think of it as being your source of contentment in Chinese medicine. Now, where we might be more off balance now than normal is because your heart meridian is all about your connection with others. So that's been a little bit stifled. So what I want you to do here before we start in the actual poses is to just for a moment think about all the people you love that you haven't been able to connect with, or maybe more than the quarantine or the virus even. But I want you to envision them in your mind's eye, in your heart's eye. And then feel that energy as you start to picture them like your heart is actually smiling. And maybe you'll feel that area from your pinky fingers to your heart, down to your belly, up the throat and the face, full of life, full of what we might call love. So let's draw a big circle around that. Reach those arms up towards the ceiling. Palms can touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. To going inward for this practice. Again, many distractions might come at you here in your home space. But see if you can do your best to tune them out. Give yourself this hour and change this beautiful summer morning. Okay, We're gonna start on the knees with just a little bit of movement, guys. Okay, so if you already know you need some padding for your knees, you could put that blanket down. And we'll come on to tabletop and go ahead and tuck those toes to start unless that's painful. Okay, sensation good, pain not good. And just do a couple cat-cows at your own pace. So before we do, you know, some of these are 2, 3, 4 minute holds. I'd like you to actually feel you're comfortable in your own blood, body, skin, organs this morning. Hit a little bit of different area each time and maybe a little different pace. Give me 3 more. Yeah. And then we'll untuck the toes when you're at neutral, and we'll do more of a back and forth. So exhale, you reach back to your knees comfort. Inhale, you go forward. If you'd like to take your hands further forward to get more range of motion, you could definitely do that. Yeah. So now the breath and the blood, of course, so intimately connected. Your heart is the most self-nurturing organ there is. Right away, it sends blood to the lungs to bring it back, to send the oxygenated blood everywhere else. It's like put on your own mask first, right? In an airplane, your mask now too. If we take care of ourselves, we'll be more likely to take care of others better. Last one. Good. Your first pose in the yin system, again, if you need that padding of the blanket, is a puppy or melting heart. Now we'll start at your regular angle. So you're gonna reach your arms forward. The butt stays high. And if you can, keep the toes untucked for this first one. So forehead can come to the earth. If that's not doable, we'll bring a blanket under the forehead. Okay. So you feel like this little ski slope in your back. Forehead on something. And now bring yourself back to the heart meridian lines. So think about how this pose, of course, affects from your pinky fingers all the way up to your armpits, to your heart, and then up and down the center line. And I want you to shoot for 6 counts in and maybe 7 counts out. Another part of this meridian is our ability to be, kind of have clarity in our thoughts, actually, because it pairs with your small intestine. And that's about mental acuity. So with your forehead on the earth, imagine without striving that you're just sorting through with the breath, getting rid of the stuff that's old news. Getting rid of built up emotions through your exhale. So if you were a clock, your head's kind of at 12 o'clock right now. So we're going to take a little journey over to the left towards more like 9 o'clock. So lift the forehead and start to walk your hands and your torso. Yeah. Of course, if you have a head prop, moving that with you. Now here's what I want you to do. Instead of having that left arm just out, because your right arm is more your reacher, you're going to bend your left elbow and set the forehead on the back of your left hand, okay? Because your right arm is what's reaching. But then no, there's no striving. So now you're in the pose. If you need to back out, you can pull your right hip back a little bit. Yeah, perfect. And now you're definitely in the meridian line on the right. So of course, you can't breathe up and down your arm, but you can use your imagination to imagine the breath sweeping up and down that arm. Yeah. 6 counts in. 7 counts out. If there's any strain in the hips, you could always put that folded blanket or rolled blanket between your belly and your thigh. Four more breaths. Soft jaw. Last breath. Lift the forehead. Bend that right elbow in a little bit so you're able to walk back through center. And before we do the other side, just pause. So you can clasp your fingers if you like, and do a little rock front to back, of a mini version of what we did before. The heart governs the communication upward, and the small intestine, the communication downwards. So you can even feel in this shape, heart energy takes you forward, small intestine takes you back. As every yin organ has a yang pair, right? Lungs go with large intestine, and so on. Good. So then let's reach forward just like we did before at 12 o'clock. So we start with the same skill set. And then you'll think about going towards that 3 o'clock, knowing it might be a totally different story, right? So if you start to walk your arms over to the right, you'll bend your right elbow, place your head on your hand, and then you're in that kind of C shape with your left side. Yeah. Hips are high, and if you feel like you don't have the stability, tucking the toes can always give you almost like a little bit of the brakes, like you put on the brakes. And that would be okay to do. No problem. But I want you to paint the breath up and down that left arm. Okay. Think about how this arm is just a direct connection right to that heart. How we reach out into the world. We're using this time to reach in. So 6 counts in, 7 counts out. Soft belly. Maybe that left hip is gently weighted back. Just gently. Great. Couple more. Relax your face, your tongue. Three more breaths. Yeah, nice job, you guys. Once you've exhaled out that third breath, you can lift your forehead, bend your left elbow to help you walk back. Nice. Crawl up to those palms. Tuck those toes if they're not already. If it's in your practice, just a nice walking out the dog. So hands can come shoulder width or a little bit wider. And just feel those leggies moving after being still. Yeah. Pump the heels up and down. Pump those calves. Good. All right. Knees to the earth. We're going to get into that inner leg line. So I like to focus when I do the heart work because the heart controls temperature regulation as well. Water in summer is a really good one to work too. So water is the kidneys. So whichever way is best for you to face the long end of your mat. So now we're going to go with a wide shape, and I'll mirror you for this one. So you're going to keep your left knee bent. So you might scooch over to the left side of your mat, okay? And then you're going to have, is it mirroring me today? Yeah. You're going to have your left leg out, or sorry, your right leg out long. It's like a little lateral lunge, okay? So I'm going to start with my toes tucked on that bent leg. And then you're reaching the whole foot out on the opposite, okay? So we'll start on palms. Let me see everybody. So leg bent, leg straight. So you can feel this inner left leg line, okay? That's right there at that kidney meridian. So maybe a block is handy, or you come down to your forearms to start, okay? I'll let you pick. And just like we did earlier, so if you're up on a block, you'd be like so. We're gonna pump a little bit front to back before we thread. So you can pump the hips back and forward. If you wanna pad that knee, okay? So maybe close the eyes, relax the neck if you can. And again, the heart energy goes forward, small intestine goes back. It's the balance. And as we tap into that water element, of course, that's so key when it's hot. And there's a lot of busyness. Good. So to add more into the heart and small intestine, we're going to thread the needle from here. So what we're doing is reaching towards the straight leg, okay? So I'm going to come back onto my hands, straighten my arms, and now it's that same arm as your bent leg, so perhaps your left, and you're going to reach straight over towards your foot. Now this might be where you say, well, I can't get my temple to the floor, Melanie. Maybe this is where you put your blanket into play. We'll probably be in this one at least 2 minutes, maybe 3, okay? Back of the hand touches onto the earth, okay? And then you want to find that ease underneath your head and on that shin. Yeah, so if you want to put a blanket under that shin, this would be a perfect time to do it. Floor is too far away, you could put a block under the head instead. Okay, you pick. I'm going to go propless on this one. So that left arm, or sorry, that top arm can just reach behind you, maybe towards your low back. You can just drape it. No need to hold the foot or the ankle. And your toes can be tucked or untucked. And so there's a twist here, so I want you to imagine what's happening in the belly. So about roughly, 80% of digestion happens in your small intestine. It sorts through what is necessary and what isn't. And that's why it has that link to sorting out in your mind what's necessary and what isn't. So for a moment, can you meditate on the connection between your brain and your small intestine? And that you could use the skill of this breath to help sort all of that out. Yeah, perfect. Keep breathing. Breathe deep. If there's any pain or discomfort, make sure you come out of it, and maybe you stay on your forearm today. That's totally fine. We got about 5 more breaths. The tongue is very important in this work, so relax your tongue. And don't be afraid to even let your exhales have sound. So you're home, maybe you're alone, maybe you're not, that's okay. You're in a place you're comfortable. Maybe you just sigh. Last breath. And if your hand's behind your back, reach that up. Maybe like you're turning a light bulb. Move that arm a few times, internal and external, that top arm. Yeah, perfect. Set that hand on the floor. Peel yourself up. Nice job, you guys. And just pause there in that same position. We'll pump a few times. Pump back and forth. Nice. In and out. Maybe the pumping feels different now after the twist, right? Good. So we're going to stay on this side. We're just going to shift how we are in space, okay? So what I want you to do, this leg, so maybe for you it's your right, will stay out to the side, and you're going to come so you're more in that Janushirshasana. So you can bring the sole of that foot right in towards that thigh. And already if you're like, ooh, that doesn't feel good for my knee, just place something right underneath it, okay? Your torso is right at center there, so maybe you take your hands to your hips and you feel if those ASIS bones are right in the same playing field, okay? So I'm gonna have a brick handy in this one and put it right in that inner leg line. So right at the kind of the inner calf. So we're gonna start to reach like a tea kettle towards that straight leg. And then we're gonna see if we can find a place where we can maybe set our hand to hold our head. So here I'm just using right now, I'm on my shin. You might be on your thigh. Or you might say, ooh, I like the angle with a brick where I'm behind the leg. But in front of the leg might be more your jam too. So they would just get a little bit different stretch, okay? So where do you feel a better stretch along this side you're gonna paint? And I'll give you a little cue when you have a minute left, and then you could even try and deepen it, okay? So you could cup the forehead even if you'd rather look down. I want you to close your eyes again if you're comfortable in the space you're in. And I want you to just feel that idea of clear communication through your body. The brain, down the throat, the spine, the legs. Relax your tongue. See if you can breathe really deep to the bottoms of the lungs. Very lowest zip code of those lobes. So you might find that you've given the connective tissue on your side waist the go-ahead, the green light, the feeling of comfort, that you could now maybe even extend out even further. So maybe the hand touches the foot, maybe not. But this trailing arm might now say, well, this is where my heart meridian is too, right? So she might start to reach up and over. So you've got lots of options here. She could drape. She could hold the head. They could both hold the head. But if your breath gets shorter or kind of choppy, then maybe you back off a little bit. Okay. 6 counts in. 7 counts out. Peel back those layers. Just give me 3 or 4 more breaths, nice and long. Good. If that top arm is draped over, bring it back to her side. Slowly shift back up. So you might even just like take little baby steps to come up there. Good. Pause in that stillness and that knowing. Let's even bring our hands to heart center. So interesting, I know, to think of the blood as connective tissue, but it connects, right? So feel that pulsing through you, that life force. Good. And then we'll release. You can help that straight leg bend. And we'll come back towards that kind of lateral lunge, right? So you might have to shift on your mat now so that you're a little bit more over to the other side, having whatever props you might need handy. Yeah. Okay, so whatever leg you didn't do, remember that shin, if she's and mine was even kind of complaining because I have hardwood floors. So I'm going to put that just down just because I was like, well, I should have done that before. So be picky in yin practice especially. And then you kick out the leg you haven't done. I mean, it's not super like, you don't have to be like knee exactly in line with arch, but you get the idea, right? We'll start with the toes tucked, and then you pump. You pump. So the heart energy takes you forward, small intestine takes you back. So think as you go forward, you're sorting emotions. That's kind of cool. And as you go back, you're sorting nutrition, needs, digestion. All right. So we started in the one where we stayed just down kind of right in that center there. So you can come down to your forearms. You could come to a brick if the floor is too far away. You might stack your hands for your forehead. And we're just getting connected to that kidney line. The water can help us wash out the impurities. Yeah, there might be a little bit of movement here. That would be totally fine. There might be a little baby rocking. It's doable. And then we're going to start to prepare for that twist, right? So best to come back to the hands so you really get that full thread. So it's like a thread the needle. And you're going to take that arm and you're going to start to thread her over towards straight leg. So if there's any discomfort in the hip, rolled blanket or towel right there, okay? You can tuck or untuck the toes. You can put a prop under the head. Now, hand can stay on the floor for support, surely, or she can go behind your back. I'll let you pick. But I want you to feel very held here, very supported, very connected. So 6 counts in, and 7 counts out. Relax your belly. Your eyes. What about your hands? Can you relax your hands a little bit more? The thumb joints, the pinkies. Every finger. A couple swallows. So imagine how this twist is affecting the organs. It's not that you're wringing out. We use that word sometimes. It's just more like a shift of pressure to get blood flow differently. A new perspective. Couple more breaths. Nice job, guys. Last one. That arms behind your back, you could gently bring the palm to the floor. Unthread. Come back to your palms. Nice. And just go back and forth a few times. So a little rocking. Hands maybe shoulder width. Whatever you want with the back toes again. I have mine tucked. Great thing about summer is you can really be barefoot more. So we got that going for us. The connecting with the earth. Earthing. I wonder if they still make those shoes, earth shoes. Those were so in. I didn't really like them, but they were kind of cool. Okay, so we're gonna keep that leg long, yeah? So when you're ready, you walk your hands closer, and you might need to come totally out of the shape before you come into Janu. Otherwise, you take that shin, bring it so the foot comes in towards the groin. And maybe you do a blankie stack. Maybe you have a blocky handy, okay? So just see if you can say, okay, my hip bones are facing generally forward. I don't teach a whole lot of Janu where the torso goes, if you've noticed that if you take my classes, because it can be not so good for the SI joints. But in the open shape, it's really nice for these QL muscles, okay? So we're gonna start to just see if we can like a tea kettle tilt, making sure that bent leg is in a good spot. They might say, okay, I'm on my shin, I'm on my thigh, just not on the knee. Patella wouldn't really appreciate that. And if you have your brick, you could go either behind the leg or in front. You'll get different fiber stretches. So for me on this one, for whatever reason, well, I know why. The brick in the front gets a way better stretch on this trailing QL. And I would totally miss it if I was back here. It's gone. So play around a little bit. Yeah, you can hold the temple or the forehead. And don't feel like you can't go further. You could always slide further. Yeah, good. I have my trailing arm just on the leg, the thigh. Just a little weight, like a sandbag. See if you can close your eyes. If not, just have your gaze soft. And come back to that feeling of your heart smiling. It's really weird. Whenever I even say that sentence, it totally changes everything in my body. It sounds so cheesy, right? Your heart smiling, super powerful. Neck comfortable, throat relaxed. Good. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you might feel you can tea kettle a little further out. Maybe you change the arm position. Maybe you hold the foot. Yeah. Hmm. I gave you the option on first side of taking the top arm over too at the end if you want. If you're like, yeah, don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. Deep breath, 6 counts in, 7 out. What are you feeling? Where are you gripping? What's your mind focused on? Last breath. That top arm comes back to her leg. Maybe you come up in little micro movements, baby steps. Nice job, you guys. This time, both leggies get to come out. Yay. It's the last pose we're going to do using this long end of the mat. Okay. So let's do a few little circles first. Really thinking about all the digestive organs there at your center. It doesn't matter which direction you start because we'll go both. Just like circles. And if you have to bend your knees and just have your heels into the floor or put blocks under your knees. Yeah, just kind of spinning around this axis of that heart energy. And then pause and you'll go the other way, nice and slowly. Jaw slacked. I haven't told you about your small intestine. Your small intestine line is on the opposite side of the hand. So pinky finger up the back of the arm, shoulder blade. And then it kind of comes up the side of the face towards the corner of the eye and the front of the ear. So soften your eyes. Last one. And then we'll take a 3-minute forward fold. So really it's your first forward fold yet. So again, brick might be nice. You're gonna hinge forward. Those knees don't have to stay perfectly straight, but we'll go into that nice quieting yin pose. So you can come down a brick under the forehead. Or you could stack your palms. You could be up on your elbows, honestly. Yeah, it's your first forward fold. So you get as much movement as you can from your pelvis rolling over both your femur heads. And then you let your spine round, especially in yin. We let the spine round. But with support and with the breath. Yeah, relax your shoulders. Forward folds are tricky. But it's kind of like when you start to run and you really want to stop. And then you hit this zone. The zone will come. You'll say, oh, there it is. I feel it. In your last minute, if you'd like to make any changes, six counts in, 7 counts out. Relax your ankles, your big toe to your baby toe. Relax your knees and your belly. Last 2 deep breaths. Good. Once you've exhaled, slowly paw your way back. Especially the one leg's been out for a long time. So do yourself a favor of grabbing behind your legs, leaning back, engaging your core, and sliding in. Good. The rare standing pose in yin, but we're going to stay really low. So if you remember what eagle arms are, so if you haven't practiced yoga in a while, we'll start, you can just try it here before we come up. So right elbow on top, and that can be back of hand to back of hand. In fact, even if you can do the full eagle, which is palm to palm, when we do the standing forward fold version, just do back of hand to back of hand. And if that doesn't feel good, just do elbow on elbow. And then we'll do both, okay? But we'll start with the right. So hands to the earth, and just go ahead and come back into a little forward fold. Okay, so we'll stay in forward foldville. Yeah, good. So before we add the arms, just do a little bit of rocking forward and back. You can even tilt back to the heels, lift the balls of the foot, tilt to the balls, lift the heels. Let blood flow in the extremities. Yeah. So when we do this, sometimes a blanket's handy. So if you have a blanket handy, I kind of like to do that really small roll between your thighs, and your belly. So I like to just do kind of a less than a fist width roll. Now that's not totally necessary, but I think it's really nice in yin. My knees are still bent. And then again, that right elbow is going to go on top of the left. It can be back of hand to back of hand, or they can just drape apart. You could even do holding your shoulders. We'll take a few moments. I mean, if palm to palm is best for you, go for it. I just don't want you to strain, okay? So feet are wide, knees are bent. So you're making space to invite the heart lower. And we're only in this one for a minute each side. So spread your toes, relax your jaw. We're really back into the heart and small intestine meridian. We've been in kidney for a while mostly. So now you're back into that feeling of sorting through. Not being pulled around by emotions, but instead feeling all that sensory information coming in. Feeling the feet, the scalp, the breath moving the skin. I want you to stay low, but release your eagle arms or whatever version of that you have. Okay. Rock a little bit side to side. We'll go right into that second minute of left arm on top. So when you're ready, left elbow sits in the nook of the right. You could hold shoulders. You could have the arms be slightly apart. Back of hand to back of hand. If you want to do palm to palm or even hold the thumb to make sure you kind of like are tidy, as long as it's not a strain in the shoulder blades. Okay. And then let that neck receive that beautiful traction of gravity. We might go days without something like this. right? How does it feel right where the skull meets that first cervical? All those little wise micro movement muscles. Tell them thank you. Don't grip your feet. Feel the ground hold you. If you're starting to lean forward, make sure you're seated back in those heels. Last 3 breaths. Nice job, you guys. Release your eagle arms. If you have that prop there, you can let it slide out. If down dog's in your practice, just paw yourself accordingly on your mat to take up some space. Yeah, if down dog's not in your practice, just come right into all fours. Maybe do a little bit of pumping, a little bit of gliding of those hips, those knees. Perfect. We get ready for our first supine twist. So it's our first time coming all the way down to our back, right? So go ahead and bring those shins to the floor if they're not already. And slowly start to get ready to come onto your back. Have that block handy or block-like situation. And know that if you get cold, you can have that blanket handy, or if you need some padding under the head, okay? So just come on down first and make any adjustments you need to. We're gonna use that energy of the heart by taking the arms out long. So if you can go nice and wide, kind of make some space around. Yeah, can you just have your arms reaching out, back of the skull, right on the earth. So let's take some windshield wipers just to get ready, because where we're gonna go is cat pulling its tail eventually. So rock the legs one way, followed by the other. I can actually already feel some release of excess fluids in my body from the practice. We made the dumb mistake of getting ice cream last night at 10 o'clock at night. So my body's like, why? So yoga helps when we make little mistakes. Okay, so when you come back to center, we're going to start by rolling all the way to your left side. So roll to your left and stack your legs, okay? So stack your legs so that your thighs are basically parallel with the front and back of the mat. Not the sides, but the top and the back, okay? So if you do that and you can keep your legs in that configuration, see if you can now start to drape your right shoulder towards the floor. So that would be going into that twist, right? And so just make friends with that first. Close your eyes if you like. And I'm going to take my left hand and push my left upper thigh away a little bit. So get some space right there in that right line. Yes, exactly. Breathe into that while you hold that space. And then soften that left hand now that you've made the space. Cat pulling its own tail is simply you now starting to take that bottom leg, walking it back, and seeing if you can take your right hand to hold that leg, okay? So you might say, oh, I'm not ready for that. So right now I'm showing that left leg just straight out. You could take a prop and put it under your right knee. So I just placed a brick under mine. But you might feel little by little, if those hamstrings cooperate, you can take hold of the top of that right foot, left foot, left foot. Yeah. And if it cramps, let it go and come back in if you want later. So you could look to the right. It might feel more. Actually look to the left. Stupid AirPods. Sorry, my voice changed, but hopefully you still hear me. If your head's not comfortable, you could pat it with your hand or a blanket. Let's come back to that full body communication. Soft jaw. Soft belly. And give me 3 more breaths in the full twist. No pain. Just like you're receiving information. If you have your tail, aka your foot, release it. Straighten that leg towards the front of your mat. And then restack your legs. You have that prop. Now your bottom leg is there for you. Roll back all the way to your left side and put your arm underneath your head there. One more time, like we did earlier, reach your right arm up to the sky and just twirl it from the upper arm bone like you're putting in a light bulb. And then taking it back out. Now keep going with that, but now take the trajectory of your arm and reach it so it's lower towards your hip. So it's almost right there touching the hip, so it's low. And then keep twirling it, but you're gonna reach out in front of you towards the face, so past the eye line. And then keep twirling it, reach it back. So you're just reaching front and back. And then you can change the pattern. You don't have to do so much rotation. Maybe you do external rotation on the way back and internal rotation on the way forward. I did a little practice for this if you were here the other morning. My shoulders have felt fantastic ever since we did that together. And this was part of what we did. Good. Last moment or two with that heart meridian of the right arm. And then you're going to take your body, roll onto your back. So we're going to do, before we do side 2, we do a little sukhasana, supine sukhasana. So we were just on our left side. I want you to put your left shin or ankle in front of the right. So you're on your back. You start to walk your feet to the opposite sides of the mat. So left shin is in front, right shin is behind. And you start to see if you can open up your legs just like crisscross applesauce, okay? So your right foot's walking to the left, your left foot's walking to the right. Then reach your arms back behind you if you can, and either grab opposite elbow, do a soft O, or put them under the head. We'll take just a minute here before the second twist. So breathe into those back ribs. Soften your jaw.
You might feel a little pull in some of your inner thigh muscles, which is good. That's back into the kidney area, kidney meridian. Feel that heart smiling. Last breath. And depending on when your arms are, snow angel them towards your thighs to help your legs come back up. Good. Puppy. And we're gonna roll just all the way over to the right side. I'm gonna switch on my mat so you can see me a little bit better and I can see you. So we start all the way over on that right side and you bring your thighs up well high, okay? And then you start to just say, can I lay my left shoulder back? Now, I mean, I don't know, some of you have probably already been up for a few hours, you early birds. But if you're just getting up in the last hour or two, you still got some unraveling here. So let this be your time for it. It's little by little. And maybe you stay like this, but for sure, let's do that little hip movement. So take your right hand, bring your right hand to your right upper thigh, sorry, left upper thigh, and then push. So it's a little decompression of this whole channel in that left hip. For me, it really stretches the QL on my back as well. And then release that hand and you can just stay in this really nice, this is just called revolved abdomen. Or you can start to sneak that bottom leg. Maybe she goes straight first. Maybe she starts to bend. Maybe you grab onto that foot. I'm gonna slide this block under my left knee. You could do a pillow or a blanket or nothing. Perfect. The gaze can go to the right, maybe the left, maybe neither. Go into that communication. How do we soothe the nervous system more in our yoga poses? Because this is the testing ground, right? If we can do it here, we can do it better. When we're watching the news, when we're out in public, when we're finishing a project. So with your breath, that exhale, we've been doing one count longer the whole class. So remember that, come back to that. We're almost there. Feel your skin soft and relaxed. Don't let your brain get busy. Just try. Try to stay with breath. Last 2 breaths. If you're holding that beautiful foot, slowly let it lengthen out to the end of the mat. Then you'll slide it back underneath your leg, roll to that right side, use your right arm underneath the head. If you have a shoulder injury, put something else under the head. And then top arm reaches to the sky, and you can do your little light bulb. It's coming from your shoulder. Right. And then we're going to take the arm by the hip. And then your pathway is just forward and back. You don't have to do that movement the whole time. You can do again one way, one the other, or halfway. Think of all the nerves that come from the brain and exit right there in your arm at that plexus. Nourishing all that connective tissue. Good job, you guys. Last one. And then when that arm is ready to release, we're going to do that last Sukhasana in the supine. So you roll onto your back. And now that right shin or ankle goes in front. And you start to walk your feet away from each other. So just crisscross applesauce on your back. And you might feel that nice stretch in your inner groin. If your back goes into a really high lumbar curve, so I'm showing that here, like you're pulling your ribs away from the floor, your best bet is to definitely put something under your head. And that will probably take care of it for you. Blanket or block. On the last side, we did arms behind, soft O, opposite elbow, hands behind head. Nice job, you guys. And a nice practice to do before a hot day. I know I've been seeing a lot of posts that are like talking about how everybody's sick of summer, and I get it. I've had the same thoughts once in a while. But if we can connect to that internal temperature regulation, and nature is even more important now, since we can't connect as much to people. Connect to art, nature, and beauty. Right? Maybe there's time for that, more time for that today for you. Last breath. You slide your arms, snow angel your arms towards your legs. Help your leggies slowly come up. Nice job, you guys. You need to lengthen your low back, pick up your glutes, draw them forward, hug those knees into your chest for the first time. One more pose with the brick. And again, if you don't have one, just something that can elevate your pelvis. So supine bridge, well, of course it's supine, bridge pose with support. So you're just going to lift up your hips and slide that block for support, the low or the medium way, right underneath your sacrum. So almost down towards the coccyx, the tail. Yeah, exactly. Could be a couch cushion, could be a pillow, could be a rolled blanket. And I want you to just use your wisdom here. So once you feel, okay, my weight's not in my head, I mean, my head is there, but I definitely feel it on the brick and on the shoulders. Those are your bases. You can either stay like this or start to play with lifting one or both legs, depending on your prop. Because we could go days, weeks without getting the legs above the head. If you want to play a little bit, you can come back to the kidney meridian by opening your legs wide. You could pump your ankles. Yes, awesome. If you have your legs out wide, maybe you bend and straighten the knees a few times, like a frog pose. Yeah, that should feel nice. A couple more moments with your legs above your heart, if you've chosen that direction. And then super slow and mindful to bring one foot back to the floor, followed by the other. So you're back in bridge pose. If you feel like once you get there, you're at a good position where you can lift the hands, I want you to rub your palms together. So that ability to create temperature regulation. Imagine that heart energy then zooming right into your palms. Zooming, get it? Zoom jokes. And then I want you to bring those warm hands to that heart, so just slightly left of center. Heart smiling, heart full. It doesn't mean you go into mania. So the opposite of depression in the heart is mania. We don't want to be so high that we're flying off the rafters. We're grounded. We're balanced. We reside in this space of compassion. Release your hands. Take 3 more breaths in bridge, where that exhale is just 1 or maybe even now 2 counts longer than your inhale. Relax your fingers, your palms, maybe stretch them out a little bit. Yeah. Sometimes I like to come to the balls of the feet, lift the heels to get the butt higher first before you slide the whole thing out of the way. Yeah. And just pause when you get down there. It's a different zip code. It's a different level. What do you feel? Take a big inhale through the nose and sigh out through your mouth. Do that 2 more times. If you're comfortable with lion's breath, this last one, give me a lion's breath where you stick your tongue out. Good. Reach your arms up and over. Gonna hook those thumbs and reach over, C-shape one side, C-shape the other side. Roll over to whatever side you're drawn to. And just pause there. Good, I didn't keep you too long. Right on time. Nice work, you guys. Slowly, slowly, that yin energy brings you up to a comfortable seat. Whatever prop or a wall or a puppy, a child. You're gonna take a couple of shoulder shrugs. Since we have that connection up from the throat then to the eyes. Let's see if we have a good opening there in the neck. So lurk side to side. But like, close your eyes and go slow and feel like even though you're turning to go in. That make it different. Head back to center. Reach your arms wide. We'll even turn the palms face up so you're spinning that kidney meridian up, or sorry, the heart meridian. So can you get your pinky fingers as the highest feature of your hand? Okay. Yeah, perfect. Yep, you got it. Then inhale, reach up. Let your pinky fingers touch first, the tips, and even if it's way out in front of you, then reach the other fingers to touch, just the tips till you get to the thumb. And feel that magnetic connection where the palms touch and you bring everything down to heart center. We bow gently, forehead to fingertips, with this clarity of thought, clarity of speech, as that is also governed from the heart. Clarity of what we let into this space and how we're able to let things out of the heart space. And the nutrients that we pull in from everything we see, taste, hear, everything. Tune your awareness into that. What a beautiful way to start this summer weekend. So thank you for sharing your summer yin practice. It was my honor to share it with you this morning. Namaste.